I can see a situation where Naomi cashes in her briefcase on Tiffany Stratton at one of two massive events coming up. Either Evolution, the all-women's pay-per-view in July, or one of the nights of the first ever two-night SummerSlam. This is where Naomi really announces herself and becomes WWE Women's Champion. Surely one of these venues, one of these arenas is going to hold history that night. Money in the Bank is around the corner, and it always gets exciting coming towards the actual event because the Money in the Bank matches itself, they're very, very wild spectacles at times. And today I'm going to talk a bit about the women's Money in the Bank because I think this is one that kind of throws up the real question of who's going to walk away with that briefcase. The men's, I think, is fairly obvious. It's probably Seth Rollins. And I want to see you guys' predictions down below in the comments. But with the women's, I'm going to stick my neck out and say it's very difficult to predict. Now, you've got former champions that are making up the field currently in Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley. And you've got kind of new contenders, new blood, like Roxanne Perez and Julia, who very well could win the briefcase. But I personally would steer completely away from that because we just saw something like that with Tiffany Stratton. And although I think since WrestleMania, Tiffany Stratton's been doing a better job as women's champion, you don't want to kind of blow your load too early. Like, I just think like Julia and Roxanne Perez, as great as they are, and as great as like the impact that they've made coming onto WWE TV, just don't put them in a situation where all of a sudden they're champion-elect. You see what I mean? We don't need to rush it. So for me, it leaves the likes of Rhea Ripley and Naomi, who recently qualified, as two real names, standouts that could win this title. And my vote is for Naomi. Naomi should be winning the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. I just think Naomi she's ticked certain boxes. She's ticked certain boxes in the last few months and since returning to the WWE with her short stint in TNA. That proves to me we need to kind of give this woman a chance, another chance, and a real good go at it, not just a chance to tick a box, you know? So a couple of things I'm going to discuss here as to why this is Naomi's time, yeah? And it starts with her run in TNA. She came into TNA, she won the Knockouts Championship, and we can say that TNA is a lesser product, a more inferior product, but I feel like Naomi proved that, you know, she's a very good wrestler in a place that focuses more so on wrestling, less so on the pageantry like WWE. Naomi, or Trinity at the time, proved that no, she can hang with some of the best that they had at the time. You know, she had wars with Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo and stuff when she was in TNA. So it was a very good look for Naomi at the time, and her coming back to WWE, I've been very vocal. It's like, why did she come back? Like, she's kind of fallen back into this kind of mid-card, disrespected position that she has been in the WWE for the majority of her career. Like, why did you come back to this? However, moving on to my second point, her current character reinvention has been great. It really has been. It's been a complete turn 360 from who we know Naomi to be, and all the glow stuff and all the dancing. It's a completely different person. The whole proceed with caution thing, I think, has been excellent. Her promo work has been great. You know, the cinema aspects they put behind her promos and vignettes has also been great. So I really do think that solid characters need to be awarded with pushes, you know, and this is the shape of a push. Now, she lost after the character change. She lost straight out of the gate at WrestleMania, but I had faith that there was a bigger play at work. You know, yeah, she can lose to Jade Cargill because Jade Cargill needs to get, you know, her heat back, her revenge after being taken out. But I really did believe there's something bigger at play, and something like the Money in the Bank briefcase is that thing. I think it really is. You know, she's even had recent victories to get into the Money in the Bank briefcase against nemesises like Jade Cargill, Nia Jax. And she's putting up good work against these people in the division. Great promos, like I mentioned earlier, against Bianca Belair. She deserves to be in the match 100%. And her winning the briefcase is more than just the moment, the roar of the crowd when someone that you always feel is underappreciated gets their moment. It's going to be more than that because there's already story in place for them to tell once Naomi ascends up that ladder and pulls down that briefcase. And I'm referring to this feud with the big three, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Because if you keep noticing, yeah, her and Bianca Belair keep bumping into each other and having these convos on Naomi's conduct around Jade Cargill. But nothing is being sorted. They're just addressing it and being like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, leave me alone, and this, that, and the other. But nothing is being sorted. Jade Cargill and Naomi, very much a kind of on-site affair at this point. The minute they see each other, they start scrapping. But nothing is being sorted. So this is a story that Triple H and team has clearly, they're going to use it later on down the line. It's going to be in the works. I can see a situation where Naomi cashes in her briefcase on Tiffany Stratton at one of two massive events coming up. Either Evolution, the all-women's pay-per-view in July, or one of the nights of the first ever two-night SummerSlam. This is where Naomi really announces herself and becomes WWE Women's Champion. Surely one of these venues, one of these arenas is going to hold history that night. Naomi winning the Women's WWE Championship off Tiffany Stratton is also poetic because Tiffany Stratton and Naomi, I think Naomi was Tiffany Stratton's kind of first feud when she was moved to SmackDown, and she got a couple wins over Naomi. So this would be almost paying her back tenfold by taking the WWE Women's Championship from her. And then Naomi can get into feuds with the likes of a Tiffany Stratton and a Nia Jax and a Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. I think all of those are going to happen. I don't know how long a Naomi run with the title is going to be, but it needs to feel a lot more meaningful than what she's done before. Naomi's already a two-time women's champion in WWE, but I bet you can't remember anything that happened during the feud. So it's one of them ones where now she has it with this character that has super great direction. We need to do something with it. And I think, you could see a situation where Bianca Belair beats her for it and that ties up their kind of loose end. And then I think we all know the direction for WrestleMania next year is probably Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. And, that's how we kind of get there. But I just think that Naomi has to be a complete shoo-in. She may be the bookie's favorite. I haven't checked any odds, but I really do think that she is someone that we should be looking at to win the Money in the Bank on the women's side of things. Of course, Rhea Ripley is in the match, and I think if Rhea Ripley does win, she takes that briefcase and she moves to SmackDown, and she might do the noble thing and hold on to it for a while, and once Bianca Belair maybe becomes champion somewhere down the line, she announces, Bianca, me and you are going to fight for this championship at WrestleMania, and you do that kind of cash-in as opposed to the run-in cash-in like the heels do. So yeah, for me, it's a two-horse race, Naomi or Rhea Ripley, but I do think the money in the bank is with Naomi, and she should walk away with the briefcase this weekend coming. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, but for me, proceed with caution.